now I give the floor to the representative of Russian Federation.
Thank you very much, Madam President. We wish to thank the Special Coordinator Nikolai Mladenov for his briefing. We note with regret that, in addition to the tragic events of recent days on the occupied Palestinian territories, on the 29th of May, the border between Israel and the Gaza Strip once again became an area of sharp escalation of armed activity. Fighters bombarded settlements on Israeli territory. The Israeli Air Force made rocket strikes in response. What's worrying is that the parties are all the more often using violence, all the more often creating mistrust and pushing away the prospect of relaunching the peace process. The hostages of this development are the civilians of Israel and Palestine. We're convinced that relying on force and refraining from direct dialogue is a road to nowhere. We note that this refers not only to the conflict between Palestine and Israel, but also any other crisis situation. And we call on all parties to exercise restraint. We have said time and again that the increase in destabilizing tendencies on the occupied Palestinian territories is directly connected to the impasse in the political process. The Middle East settlement has been for a long time at an impasse, and instead of achieving the fundamental resolution of the issues of Middle Eastern settlement, the Security Council has been compelled to dealing with the undesirable consequences of the stalemate that has arisen. This approach, to put it mildly, is unproductive and does not allow us to overcome the degradation of the situation in which nobody has an interest. We are confident of that. It also doesn't help us to remove the chronic problems of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, such as provocatory rhetoric, unilateral action, flashes of violence, and settlement activity. There is a need to activate efforts to renew the political process between Palestinians and Israelis on the well-known basis of international law, including the decisions of the UN Security Council and the principles anchored in the Arab Peace Initiative, the outcome of which should be the implementation of a two-state formula and the creation of an independent and sovereign Palestinian state with a capital in East Jerusalem. Our position on the demonstrations in Gaza remains unchanged. We confirm the right to peaceful protest action and decisively condemn the indiscriminate use of force against civilians. We also the rocket bombardment of Israeli territory. We encourage the parties to refrain from steps which could lead to further worsening of the situation. It is important to continue intensive efforts to ease the difficult humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip. The lack of hope in the situation plays into the hands of those forces who have an interest in further radicalization of that situation. Broad despair is a fertile breeding ground for extremism. In this connection, we note the important work done by the UN, in particular the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees in the Near East. We welcome and support the inclusion in the Middle Eastern settlement of regional players. We see and greatly esteem the role of Egypt and Jordan in Palestinian affairs. In conclusion, we wish to underscore that the development of the situation on the occupied Palestinian territories yet again confirms that the international community does not have the right to abandon Palestine, dealing instead with the decisions of other problems in the Middle East. We need to act. And the Middle East Quartet, in our view, is the appropriate, necessary forum, as approved by resolutions of the Security Council, to bring the Middle Eastern peace settlement out of an impasse. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Russian Federation for his statement.